Thank you, everyone, for watching Hot Takes, Hotter Bakes. My name's Graham Wren. I've got Kevin Knight here with me here. This is the Eastern Volleyball Network, but you already knew that. Before we get too much further, Andrew McMurray would love it if you're going to smash that like button. It really helps us out, and he gets a kick out of it. So be sure to smash that like button. We've got a 12-team men's open event at TVA, Virginia Beach this weekend, May 22nd. Without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and dive into it. You got anything else to add, Kev?
I was going to say it's good to be back. Really excited for doing these videos. The previous few tournaments have been, I think, a little bit too small to cover, and 12 teams isn't a monster by any means, but just super happy to be back with you doing the bracketology, and as the year picks up, I'm excited to do some more tournaments. So anyway, let's get into this 12-team banger.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I could be out there playing with you, but I will be in California for a wedding. We're gonna have a good time somewhere else, but try to enjoy the tournament for me and eat a cookie for me.
Will do.
All right. First matchup in the 8 versus the 9, we have Josh Conwell and Travis Graven against Devin Decker and Kevin McCandles. Josh Conwell, Virginia Beach local, kind of jumps back and forth between AA and open. He's definitely more on the open side than the AA side, but he goes back and forth. Popular and well-known drinking buddy of Joey Gordon. Travis Graven.
He also flips back and forth between hunting and volleyball, right?
Yes, I believe that's true. Travis Graven, another Virginia Beach local, kind of a staple of the scene, an old partner buddy of mine. I think people know who he is. Devin Decker, you know much about him? Where's he from?
I think originally from Florida, and I think he actually did college at Florida State. I might be wrong about that, but I think he did college at Florida State. Definitely played a lot of beach down there, and is actually, despite being a younger guy, is actually one of the more seasoned beach volleyball players of the group that's starting to come up now through the college ranks. Recently joined the military, so that's why he's up in, I guess, Maryland now. And so good for him. Hats off. Glad to have somebody serving our country playing in the tournament. But nobody knows if he's touched the ball in the last 5 or 6 months. Really big, really long, physical guy, and the younger brother of a guy that I actually trained with once upon a time named Ben Decker out in Greensboro.
Gotcha.
That's him.
Gotcha. Very cool. I can tell you a little bit about Kevin McCandles. He's from the kind of DC, Maryland, Nova Triangle area. Pretty good indoor setter, pretty good Revco player, pretty good grass player. I've never seen him on the beach, and he's got a pretty solid all-around game for all of those different forms of volleyball, but I've never actually seen him in the sand. But I think his game, as far as, some people have an easier time translating to the sand. Some people have a harder time. I think he has a bit of an easier time. And he also, I believe, took a second in a co-ed battle of the beaches playing with Amy Opsel against Luke Parks and Kiara McKibben. So he's not, fresh meat necessarily, and has played some sand, has been moving around in the sand. And I do know that he's got, a fair amount of skill to go behind his game as well.
There you go.
So I'm going to go with Devin and Kevin here, to Kevin, if you will, because I think, kind of like you talked about with Devin being one of the more seasoned up and coming players and really long, really athletic, and, really has a dynamic skill set on the court. I think he's going to find a way to impose his will on the court. And I think they're going to end up taking it.
All right. On to the next.
All right. Next, we have at the 5 versus 12, the 5 seed, Josh Lanier, Brian Conacher out of Raleigh, North Carolina, against Matt Stagg and Yevgeny Fedorenko out of the DC area.
Yeah, so Josh and Brian are two guys I'm training with. I love working with. I love playing pickup against. They're both working super hard. They've played quite a few tournaments together, and are also close friends. Josh, the blocker of the two. Brian's the speedy little defender, and the only thing I have to say is they've both gotten way better at setting. And unfortunately, recently they've both gotten on each other's nerves a little bit, but
Yeah.
that doesn't come into play at the tournament.
Okay. I think my biggest disappointment with their games by far is that Brian is no longer just yeeting sets into the air, unfortunately. For those of you who had watched Brian play previously, he had a pretty exaggerated and forceful setting motion where he would just chuck this thing as high as he could into the air. Like I'd been sent clips where he's setting this ball a good like 5 feet outside the frame of the camera that's 10 feet behind the court, which is pretty amusing. So I'm sad that is a thing of the past. Let me tell you about the other two guys. Yevgeny Fedorenko is like a 6'3" lefty. He likes to defend, but at 6'3" and an athletic guy, he can block as well, obviously. Really, really solid player. I trained with him a bunch when I was up in DC. Really, really good player. Definitely kept me on my toes in training. And I would say he was one of the best, if not the best player from our training group. Matt Stagg, another guy kind of like Kevin McCandles, who I've never seen play on the beach, but like I've seen play indoor and play outside at a pretty high level, at a pretty high skilled level. I've seen him play Revco at a pretty high level and also set for Revco at a decently high level. I've played one day of doubles grass, and it was actually with Matt Stagg. And you know how sometimes you see people on grass and you're like, oh, this is an indoor player playing grass. Matt looked like a beach player playing grass, if that makes sense. Very much kind of like a beach player's mindset and thinking about swinging here, cutting here, chopping over the block here, et cetera, et cetera. And like chatting with him briefly, I think he used to train some with Hudson when he was in the area.
Oh, nice. Okay, so he'll be solid.
Yeah, so he'll be pretty solid, but I also don't know how much beach he's played in a while, because like he was also kind of the mindset where beach was so hard to get to up there that he pretty much made a pretty pure switch over to grass for the most part, and occasionally would get out and play.
This one's playing right on the ocean front, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
that's gonna kick up the breeze just a little bit. I'm not sure quite what it's gonna look like, but I think that's definitely more a detriment to Josh and Brian, who don't get to train as much in the wind.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like DC's the windiest, but Yevgeny really has a monster serve. So I think wind is going to help him as well.
Monster jump serve, monster float serve.
Yes. A little bit of everything. Dude's got a monster floater, monster jumper, good amount of power, location, speed, movement, all of the above.
All right. Watch out for that guy, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to take Matt Stagg and Yevgeny in this 5-12 matchup. There's kind of two landmine teams, so to speak. And we've just talked about both of them, whether it was Matt Stagg and Yevgeny or potentially Devin and Kevin.
Well, hopefully you get a strongly worded text from Josh on Saturday.
Or probably before that, since it's Thursday and we're going to air it tonight.
All right. Who's next?
All right. Next at the 6 versus the 11, we have Zach Martin and Tommy Spielman out of Liberty University against Brad Peters and Joseph Angelo. I don't know Joseph. Brad is a like 6'1"-ish, 6'2" lefty. Covers a fair amount of court, has a pretty decent serve, relatively skilled guy, plays D3 or D2 at Lees McRae.
Okay.
Zach and Tommy, I think we've talked about them a fair amount. They've been coming out to tournaments for like a year and a half now out of Liberty University, usually play together.
Yeah, big hitters, athletics, still learning the beach game. Like, but also if they're on, they can be scary from time to time.
Yeah, and Tommy's actually been getting involved on the coaching side as well, which is really nice to see. He's been coaching some juniors in the Lynchburg area. So he's now making the transition from a volleyball player who kind of looks like a baseball player to now looking like a volleyball player, which is nice. Yeah, so I think we're going to take Zach and Tommy here.
All right.
Now in the 7-10, we have Kyle Forensic, Patrick Neary, or as everyone loves to call them, Pile. Follow Pile on Instagram. against Che Cooper and Liam French. Liam and Che are two athletic, I want to say they're both freshmen players out of the Virginia Beach area who play at George Mason, I believe. And they've played some men's open tournaments. I don't know how many matches they've won against, teams in men's open tournaments versus, scary that we're calling Pyle seasoned veterans, but I think relatively in this matchup, Pyle's a seasoned veteran.
You love to see the kids out there, but I think I got to go with
Pyle?
Pyle.
Yeah. I think we got to go with Pyle as well. Next round matchup, round of 8, we have the number 1 overall seed, David Arnold and Kevin Knight against Devin Decker and Kevin McCandles.
Well, I can't pick for this one because that's our video.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So I'm just gonna bite my tongue here on the 1 versus 8 matchup.
Yeah, I have really missed this. I've really missed getting to make you sweat during picking every single one of your matchups that you're internally thinking is a easy win for you. Devin and Kevin, he's being polite over there, but that's what he's thinking. But I'm going to go ahead and give Kevin the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to pick Kevin and David over Devin and Kevin.
Bro, I thought you were about to mess with me on the other Kevin. I was about to freak out. Glad you picked Kevin. Yeah. Happy to be moving on.
There you go. Proud of you, bud. Next, we have the 12 versus the 4, Matt Stagg and Yevgeny Fedorenko against Joey Gordon and Cortland Scherenborg. Joey and Cortland are 2 Virginia Beach locals. Cortland played ball at Ball State.
I don't have much to add here. I like Cortland's game all around. I don't think he's had a real big breakout tournament yet. And I also have no idea how he's going to play with alongside Joey Gordon. I haven't seen these two together.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting too, because they both strongly prefer the left side. So it'll be interesting, which to me is also really interesting because Cortland indoors is a setter. So you would think that he would have that natural inclination for the right side, but on the beach, in attacking, he prefers the left a good bit. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to divide that up. I have my own personal thoughts, but I would expect to see Cortland on the right because I think teams will probably go after Joey a little more, but we'll see. Given that, in my mind, I think Matt's solid, but just how solid Matt Stagg is going to be is a bit up in the air. As far as people go, he was definitely one of the more volleyball inclined and creative as far as keeping skills sharp during quarantine. If you go onto his Facebook, he's got videos of himself with cornhole boards stacked at weird angles in his backyard, and he's peppering with himself off of cornhole boards, which was pretty cool to see. With a Spalding no less, which also kind of gives you the idea of how long Matt's been doing this. But we'll see we'll see how sharp he looks and how ready to compete he is. So I think until we know that he's really here ready to compete at a high level, I think we got to give the nod to Joey and Cortland.
Dude, I was thinking, see, now you told me the last seed on the list, they pull the first round upset, and then this man's been peppering on a cornhole board with the crazy lefty server. You almost convinced me into picking the 12 to go miracle run all the way to the win.
My hesitation there is that I don't know how much Yevgeny has been getting out to play recently. I think some, but I don't know if he is full on training versus, Cortland and Joey have had access to indoor sand this entire time. So part of it is, just a stage and readiness, if you will. And then on top of that, I don't know when the last time Matt was in sand was, and a certain amount of it is like riding a bike. But then I think you get to a certain point and you're having to play defense or side out against, people as large and athletic as Cortland and Joey are. And I think there's a certain amount of reps that are needed to be doing that. And I think it might be just enough for Joey and Cortland to move on.
Yep.
Next up, we have the 3 versus the 6. hometown heroes Luke Parks and Matt McLaren against Zach Martin and Tommy Spielman.
It's a very long matchup all the way around.
Yeah, it's a long matchup, and this is kind of this is a pretty rough matchup for Zach and Tommy. I think a lot of times what they have going for them is that they're a little more athletic, a little more physical than other teams, and that's not the case here. And then on top of that, I think Luke and Matt, both individually and collectively, are more beach skilled than Tommy and Zach are.
Like it's team big and big versus team bigger and biggest.
Yeah, yeah, that's accurate. And Matt is a very fast and covers a fair amount of court for, you know, a 6'5" guy. So, so I think we got to go Luke and Matt here.
Alrighty.
Next, 2 versus 7. We have Kyle Forensic, Patrick Neary against Brett Rosenmeyer, and I think it's Drucker. You heard of this guy? Never heard of this guy.
No, never heard of her.
Yeah, can you tell me something about this guy? I'm interested to see who he is if Brett's deciding to step down and play one with him.
I think he exclusively plays in Richmond. There's not really any tournament there, so get him out is I think a big deal. I know he was a setter at one point. I think he may have played pro in the U.S. somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's for Stuff and Exposure. Did he play with Eddie Mushikian or
the Sheik? No, I think he played with LVC maybe.
Huh.
And I know that he's
on the twos team, right?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
He was a warm-up line hero as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know anything about his beach game.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's nice to see the indoor guy making a transition out to the beach and starting off with a pretty strong partner pull as well. Love to see it.
Love to see it. You'd love to see it.
All right. That being said, we'll go Brett and Drucker in 2.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we've had our fun, and we'll move on. Round of 4, also known as the winner's semi. We have Dave Arnold and Kevin Knight against Joey Gordon and Cortland Scherenborg.
So I'm gonna be quiet again.
Yeah. For me, I think I have a tough time seeing this going any other way other than Cortland and Joey losing this match to you and Dave.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good.
I think Dave finds a way to carry your butt to a win here, straight into the semi.
That's a very tall task.
Yeah. On the other side, we have Luke Parks and Matt McLaren against Brett Rosenmeyer and Nick Drucker.
That's tough. A lot of big jump serves in this one. Nick and Brett can both bring it. Luke, we have always talked about, has a crazy jumper when it's on. Very, very much like a Virginia Beach version of Paolo Nicolai. When the serve's in, man, it's hard to get it back over the net, but it's very hit or miss, and it can match to match, be way up, way down.
Interesting
analysis.
So I was gonna say, I don't know if I would use the Paolo Nicolai reference, because I feel like Luke generally does a pretty good job of keeping it in. Like he knows when he's not feeling it, and he does a pretty good job of like applying some pressure and keeping it in. But then when he starts to feel it, he really starts to pick his spots and paint lines. And I think that's really the difference there. That being said, I think the difference here is I think Matt struggles a little bit dealing with wind. And we're not going to have crazy wind, but we're supposed to have 8-mile-an-hour winds according to Apple weather.
A little breeze.
Yeah, a little bit of a breeze. And I know from talking with Brett and playing with Brett a little bit, Brett in like a very kind of stale environment doesn't feel super comfortable going back and ripping a jumper. But then you give him just a little bit of wind in his face, and all of a sudden he feels that much more comfortable. Like he can just go back and unload on a ball, and he becomes a lot scarier from the service line. So I think having a good side versus the bad side definitely benefits Brett's game, and Nick does a pretty damn good job of bringing jump serve pressure from both good and bad side. So, which gives him an advantage in windy conditions. And I think Luke does a pretty good job doing with the wind too. But I think Matt's gonna, comparatively to everyone else on the court in this match, struggle a little bit to deal with the wind. And I think it'll be enough for Nick and Brett to take it.
They'll go for the 2 seed here.
Yeah, we'll go for the 2 seed. It should be noted when they played at an indoor sand in either January or February, and it was a close 3-setter, but Nick and Brett did pull it out.
Yeah, I was thinking that's probably going to be the best match before the semifinals.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. All right, so we've got Drucker and Rosenmeyer, and then Dave Arnold and Kevin Knight moving on to the semis on the winner's side. Now, on the loser's side, we've got Che Cooper, Liam French against Matt Stagg and Yevgeny Fedorenko.
I got to give this one over to you.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go with the season bets out of DC. Unfortunately, I don't think I've seen Liam or Che really get a victory in a men's open beach setting. There's always that time for the first, but kind of until it happens, you're not really going to pick it. So I think Matt and Yevgeny will take it. Next, we've got Brad Peters, Joseph Angelo against Devin Decker and Kevin McCandles.
Again, I don't know these guys well enough, so handing it over to you again.
I think we got to go with DeKevin here. I think we don't know Joe Angelo, so unless Brad Peters has brought a ringer, I think DeKevin finds a way to get it done.
Why DeKevin or Devin?
I think Kevin, the K is a little bit of a softer sound and it flows a little better, so it's been going second. Kevin, if you're listening, that's the story. Kevin, if you're not listening, it's a bit more of an alpha beta thing that's going on. Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of what happened. Next, we have Josh Lanier, Brian Conacher against Kyle Forensic and Patrick Neary, aka Pyle.
Man, I think these guys played each other last year, but that was before either Brian or Josh were hand setting. So this is an entirely different matchup from that perspective. But at the same time, I know that at least the last time the two played, Pyle did a much better job of dealing with and then also using the wind than either Josh or Brian did.
Right. Interesting. It sounds like we're leaning the same way here, because kind of my thought is that Brian's on the smaller side and Pat's not the largest block, but he's large enough that you definitely have to account for him with what he's doing up there. You can't just go up and be blind. And then behind him, he's got one of the more seasoned Virginia Beach defenders in Kyle Forensic. He's going to cover a fair amount of court and will also sit back and just eat up your hard driven balls. So I think it's a really tough match for Brian. I think he's going to have to side out really well if they want to win.
I'd be willing to coin flip, but yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Patrick and Kyle play in a while. So, and you've seen Brian and Josh play at least a little bit this year. So I'm going to defer to you on this one.
Okay. It's funny. Last Virginia Beach Open tournament, Pyle looked pretty strong. They looked like they were, they took Joey Gordon and Travis Abel to 3, like 15-13, may have gone extras. I don't exactly remember, but Pyle always leaves everything out there too. Like they're a pretty scrappy team and they find ways to keep balls alive, which, again, for someone who's going to have to work pretty hard to side out is that much more of an uphill battle. So I think I'm going to give the edge to Pyle here.
All right. Nice 0-2 for Josh and Brian, I think.
Yes, that is correct. Next, we have Josh Conwell, Travis Graven against Zach Martin and Tommy Spielman.
Oh, man. Has Graven been out training with you guys, or?
Yeah. Travis has been playing a good bit. I think Josh has been playing too. This one's interesting to me because I think in system, I might give an edge to Zach and Tommy, but anything remotely scrambly or out of system, I give the edge to Josh and Travis by a lot. Versus like that in system edge is small for Tommy and Zach.
What do you think? What do you think decides this one? Do you think it's just a ball control game, or do you think one player or another is going to take over?
So for Josh and Travis, I think it's going to come down to figuring out kind of what combination of Zach and Tommy's skills is the shakiest, and kind of from like how they want to attack Zach and Tommy, because getting them a little bit out of system can pay some pretty big dividends. And then from Zach and Tommy's perspective, I think the key for them is to not let Josh and Travis score on dumb shit, frankly. Josh and Travis are both pretty good at that too. So it's a little bit of a tall order. They're both pretty decent at like finding weird spots on the court that if you're not, locked in and covering the court you're supposed to, that they're gonna find ways to, score like a hop roll shot from 9 feet off with either hand, especially Josh. Josh, well known for going with both hands.
All right. So what are we doing?
Honestly, I'll coin flip it. I'd be down to coin flip it unless you have a feeling.
No, I don't.
Okay. We'll say heads is the hometown heroes. It is tails, unfortunately. So we will go with Zach and Tommy.
Ready?
All right. 7th place match. Matt Stagg, Evgeny Fedorenko against Devin Decker and Kevin McCandles.
I don't know enough about McCandles to know if he's going to be able to carry the load, because I'm going to assume the 6'8" guy that jumps well isn't going to get served.
You would probably be correct, but you never know.
Do you have a feeling on this one? Because I just don't know enough about the other two as well.
I don't think Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. I think it's going to come down to Matt Stagg versus Kevin McCandles, though.
Okay.
And I don't have a great idea, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put some faith in my boy. I'm going to put some faith in Yevgeny.
Okay. All right.
I was originally going into this video, I was like, I think this might be another toss-up, but you know what? We got to go with the boys.
All righty.
All right, next match. We have Zach Martin, Tommy Spielman against Pyle.
I mean, you have guys that have been playing beach together, admittedly, but only for a year or two, I would say, versus Pyle. I think I want to. It's hard because I haven't seen Patrick and Kyle play this year, but like from playing against Zach and Tommy, who I know have been getting out to a couple tournaments here and there, grass or beach or otherwise, I kind of want to pick Tommy on this one.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
It's funny. I've been feeling like I like Zach's game. But in particular, I feel like Tommy's been kind of due for a breakout or a level up from what he's kind of historically done, whether it's with Zach or whether it's with James Morton. I felt like he's kind of due, and I felt like he's been close to piecing the pieces together. I don't think that's quite the saying. You can help me out there, but I feel like he's been right there, and this might be the time that he pieces it together and comes up with another win. So let's go with the Liberty boys.
So he's hit that level 15, level 16 level. You know, the Charmander about to go to the Charmeleon.
I don't know if he's a Charmander turning into a moody teenager, but yes, the metaphor is definitely appreciated. So I think we'll go with, what was that?
Old school Pokemon reference. Gotta bring it out in the middle of a volleyball video.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and go with Zach and Tommy there. All right, so now the fifth place game, we have Matt Stagg and Yevgeny Fedorenko against Luke Parks and Matt McLaren.
I mean, we've been kind of back and forth on Fedorenko for a while. I like Luke and Matt together. They play quite a bit, and they really pushed on Nick and Brett, Nick Rosemeyer last tournament. So that's a really good team, and so I'd assume that Luke and Matt are going to take this one.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. I think if Matt, if Matt and Yevgeny show up and they've been getting reps, I think this isn't a matchup that should just be discounted if they've been getting out in training. But if they haven't, I think that Luke and Matt will take it probably like 21, 15, or 16. If they haven't been getting out and getting a ton of reps. The other fifth place match, we have Zach Martin and Tommy Spielman against Joey Gordon and Cortland Scherenborg.
Are you taking like the level up thing real seriously, and you're gonna call the upset of seed here, or how realistic is it for Spielman to break into a semifinal and like truly make a kind of 12-team tournament is a 12-team tournament, but truly kind of make a splash and make that semifinal match?
I think Cortland covers just a little too much court for that to happen. What was that? Is
that a pun?
I guess a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a court, a little bit of a pun. But we talked about how like Tommy and Zach at times they struggle with a lot of the small stuff on the beach court, whether it's, turning out of system opportunities into, scoring chances, etc. And like, that's something that Cortland and Joey both do really, really well. Something Tommy has going for him in a lot of matches is Tommy's a really, really good setter when he gets his hands on the ball. So, he does a good job there, but Joey and Cortland are just as good, if not better, with their hands. So Tommy doesn't have that advantage that he normally has going for him. So I think I got to give the edge to Cortland and Joey.
I think out of principle, I'm going to force a coin toss here because I take the Liberty guys on to see if they like. Let's see if I can call a semifinal appearance. You got me hype on them.
Yeah, you think Zach's going to be able to handle everything that Joey Gordon brings to the table?
I can't necessarily say that because Joey brings a mullet to the table, and that's just really difficult. But
I mean, Tommy's close to bringing a mullet to the table as well.
I can tell you if this is the matchup that I'm gonna go with the Liberty guys.
Okay, well then, by rule, since we're split, that brings us to a coin toss. Heads for the hometown heroes as always. It's heads.
Tip of the cap.
Yep. So Joey Gordon and Cortland Scherenborg move on by coin toss. So, if they're watching this, a little bit of an asterisk there, if you ask me. But we'll move on. Semifinal, David Arnold and Kevin Knight against Luke Parks, Matt McLaren.
The only thing I'm going to say is, so Dave's my guy. I played 2019 with him, played AVP qualifiers. Dave picked me up when, frankly, Dave was a much, much better player than I am. And for all intents and purposes, he still might be. I don't know. Dave got deployed to Iran shortly after we played our Manhattan Beach Open final qualifier, and we talked about playing after that, but his life has taken a lot of twists and turns. He's moved from Virginia Beach up to Maryland, and I know that he's trained a little bit with Cam Beans from the Midwest, who's also in Maryland. But I keep in touch with him. He's an awesome guy. I'm super stoked to run this one with him, and I hope that we come out and make the magic happen that we had once upon a time. But I can't tell you much more than that about Dave. I mean, he's definitely a guy that can walk out onto a court without playing for a while and just pick up a ball and be just surprisingly good in a white tee and basketball shorts. And I can't say enough good things about the guy's attitude. He's always willing to battle. But yeah, that's my analysis of my guy Dave.
Okay, so before I jump into the analysis of your guy Dave, first thing I want to talk about, let's give a shout out to Cam Beans for commuting all the way from the Midwest to Maryland to trade with Dave Arnold. You love to see it. Appreciate him looking out for the boys and making sure that Dave gets some reps. Number two, there's actually I want to mention that there's actually a pretty decent training group forming up in Maryland between you got Cam commuting in, you've got Dave Arnold, you've got Francis Becknell, you've got Lucas Frasnand. I think it's how you say his last name. I got to play against him in Richmond last week. Dude's pretty physical and pretty skilled too. James Moyer's up there. I think you said Devin Decker's up there now, right?
Oh yeah. I think that's where he's stationed.
Gotcha. So you've got that crew in Maryland, and then you've got Yevgeny, Cam Rodriguez, Dalton Bundy, Shane Spellman, Adam Skates, potentially Aaron Shong in like the Northern Virginia area too. So you've kind of got a couple little pockets of potentially good beach ball going on up there too, which is nice to see.
Yep.
One addendum to your analysis of your guy Dave Arnold. It's still May. I looked at the temperature and it's like 70s. I'm thinking we're going to see the capri sweatpants out of our guy Dave Arnold on Saturday. We're not going to see the gym shorts just yet.
Tell you what, if any of the water from the ocean, like the waves, comes up high, none of his pants are going to get wet.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that being said, I think I'm going to pick you and Dave in a tight 3-setter over Kevin and Matt. I think Luke's jump serve goes off in one of the sets and they find a way to push you all to 3. But I think at the end of the day, I think you scream and shout your way into a 3-set victory.
You did say Kevin and Matt, so I'm going to just correct that to Luke and Matt.
Sorry. Thank you.
The nod on the dub. I've played one with Luke, and he absolutely has the ability to take over, especially a single set. I mean, 5 aces are not incredibly uncommon out of him. So if he really gets it going, he could definitely take a set off, and appreciate the nod into the finals though.
Yeah. And then on the other side, we have Joey Gordon, Cortland Scherenborg against Brett Rosenmeyer and Nick Drucker.
I would love to know Nick's record against Cortland, because I think it might be unbeaten in like 10 matches.
Gotcha.
I know that we played against them twice. Nick and I alone played against them twice last year, and I've seen Nick play against him at Wilmington with Cam Beans and a couple other places.
Right.
Statistically, Nick seems to just have his number.
I will say that, some of those matches with Cam Beans should probably be thrown out because, Cam was defending at that time, but we all know and love Cam the blocker now. So
I don't think I had heard that news, but
yeah, I think Cam's been blocking a fair amount.
Hey, good for him. I'm not gonna shit on that blocking. Like that's my role, yeah. But that's a tough job. All I'm gonna say is that's a tough job. But yeah, you got to throw that out now.
Yeah. No, but in all seriousness, I think we got to go with Brett and Nick. I also kind of know that Cortland's still been pretty busy with schoolwork and work on the side and all that stuff. So like he hasn't been getting out and playing as much as Brett has. And you and I both know that, Drucker's pretty much a training monster and has kind of been out there a lot. So I think I got to give the edge to Brett and Nick here.
Well, I'm gonna, I guess, sign off because I don't want to hear the analysis of the finals. Okay. I have no ability to affect it. So
I don't think that's true. I think I'm still trying to make up my mind about the matchup, to be honest.
I'm just gonna try to be quiet. I might have to turn my camera off.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm picking myself for the finals. Just gonna throw that one out there. I know it's a shock to everybody. Dave and I just have a great connection, and
Was
I
that
love the
Match.com or eHarmony? What was that?
just go.
All right. Well, so here's the thing. Kevin and Dave bring a lot to the table. I think, what was the last tournament you guys played together? Was it probably ECSC?
No, man, it was Myrtle Beach Open when I had 2 rolled ankles and I made a semifinal against Angel and Chris Frazier on with double ankle braces, and we went to 3 and lost 26-24 in game 3. It was an effort. We'll just say that.
Yeah. Well, what was the last TVA tournament you played?
I got nothing.
You got nothing. Is it with McMurray?
I don't know when Dave and I last played. The last TVA tournament I played would have been with McMurray in February when took out Will Rodriguez and Eddie Mashiki in the final.
Yeah. Here's the thing. 2021 TVA events so far have belonged to Brett Rosemeyer. Across the board. He's 3 for 3.
I did not know that. I was unaware.
Yeah.
Might have let me know a couple times, but I just hadn't sunk in.
Yeah, January indoor sand took a win over your buddy Dave Arnold that you've been talking so much about. February, they took indoor sand over Chris Vaughn and Angel Dache. Brett and I got a TVA win together. And so here's kind of my thing. And you don't just have to beat Drucker and Rosie. You have to beat Drucker, Rosie, and Rosie's Raiders. I don't know if you're familiar with Rosie's Raiders, but you've got his boys like Will Calaman and that whole rowdy crew that rolls up right around semifinals, hammered and just talking loads of shit the entire time, hyping their boy up, shouting for their shirts to come off, etc. So I think here's what I think is going to happen. I think you guys are going to come out hot in the final. I think you're going to take the first set. You're going to scream your head off. Then all of a sudden the shirts are going to come off. And from that point, I think it's a 3-set victory for the bad guys, for Rosemeyer and Drucker.
Oh, why did I stay? You can't pick against Dave. Like you I know that they beat Dave earlier this year, but it's not February anymore.
It's true. It's true.
I mean, there's no doubt they've won tournaments together. And they won a tournament over Dave Arnold, but
I don't think you understand how much I would like to be able to pick against Nick right here, but my brain just says I can't do it. I've got to pick him.
I can't say anything except for you're wrong. You're wrong picking against me.
Yeah, this is everyone's favorite latest installment of Grand Picks against Kevin and Kevin.
I don't get it. I know they're both good players, and I know they play well together. And Dave, it's Dave and I.
Yeah,
so many tournaments together. We've had so many comebacks together. I don't know how we're gonna click this time around, but by the finals, Dave and I are gonna be locked.
It might be, but the last tournaments that you guys played together, I don't think you won, did you?
No comment.
No comment.
Comment.
Okay. Yeah, I think I got to go with Drucker and Rosemeyer. I think they just bring a little bit more heat with their jump serves than the opposition does, and I think that'll be the difference. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching Hot Takes, Hotter Bakes. This has been fun as always. There's nothing like making Kevin's head explode. Do us a favor, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. It really helps us out. Still trying to get to 1,000 followers here. Thanks for watching. If you disagree with any of our picks, let me know. You can always reach out to me. I'm usually down to make a beer bet about different matchups. I won't be there in person, so we'll have to cash in at a later date, but reach out and we can definitely make something happen if you want. Thanks for watching. Wish I could be there. Have a good night, everybody.